Hello and welcome back to Pulp Kitchen. If you haven't caught up on our most recent episode, which was all about 28 years later and F1, go do that now. We included an interview with Alex Garland and Danny Boyle about 28 years later, and we've also dropped a spoiler cast about 28 years later. But if you have still come back for more Pulp Kitchen, you're in the right place. This episode is going to be a very quick review of Life of Chuck, which is a new movie coming out this year, coming out in August actually, but James has had the chance to see it ahead of time at London's South by Southwest Festival.
Certainly did.
And you had the opportunity to speak to Chiwetel Ejiofor, which we will release when the film comes out in August.
So what I think would be really great is that I'm going to be very light on plot for this film. Because it's kind of like a mystery box film. The less you know, the better. But I want to serve it as a review, like a first impressions, and I think will be great because you're going to want to go and see it.
Yep.
And I think we're going to want to unpack some plot stuff, and then we can put it out later, nearer the time, maybe a week ahead, with an interview from Chiwetel Ejiofor shot a few weeks ago. So I think that would be great.
Great. And we're also going to do today some emails as well. We've had lots of emails sent into the show, so I'll be dropping some in this episode as well. So stay tuned for that. But James, Life of Chuck.
So the Life of Chuck, the reason I wanted to talk about it is it got quite, not only have I seen it, but it got quite a lot of hype coming out of Cannes where it won the People's Choice Award. And obviously got the chance to see it and speak to Chiwetel Ejiofor. So therefore I'm going to talk about it now because I don't want to sit on it for too long. But yeah, a lot of people, when I posted my Instagram story of me at the screening, I got a lot of reactions like, oh, really wanted to see this. You're so lucky to see it. How come you got to see it? Where do I get tickets? And I was like, oh, just seeing it earlier. Oh,
I don't know.
There's a lot of like in the film, I don't know, damn it. What year? I sort of had like in the filmy festival-y world, there was a lot of anticipation for it. I went to one of Horror Amy's movie nights. People were like, oh, you saw House of Chuck. How was Life of Chuck? Sorry. I'm just like, oh God, people are like caring about this film, but it's not coming out until the 22nd of August.
Wow.
But
is that Bank Holiday weekend? No, this weekend before. No, that is Bank Holiday weekend. Anyway,
there you go.
Not that it's relevant.
See it on the bank holiday. How about a perfect little Life of Chuck? And on the poster of Life of Chuck is a very gorgeous, specky Tom Hiddleston holding a cup of coffee and a pencil and a sort of a very retro, I want to say 50s marketing style font. And it's the Life of Chuck and it looks very sweet and endearing. So I'm going to keep this very, very light on plot. As I said, the plot itself is a mystery to you for almost the entire time you watch it. It is... and before I get into it, actually, sorry, I keep sidetracking myself. I went to go see this, as I said, at the closing night of South by Southwest London at the Barbican. And when I turned up at the Barbican, there were so many people all going in and out to see loads of different things. And it also served as the premiere, as you will, of debuting the film Life of Chuck at the festival. And I got to see a nice little chat with Tom Hiddleston came out and Chiwetel Ejiofor came out and Mike Flanagan came out. And I will just say, it being a very festivally film, seeing it at a festival where we were like an hour late after we'd sat down at a very hot Barbican screening, so I was a little bit like ready to get going. When I've already like agreed to see the film, / seeing it early, and I'm like definitely in and sold, and I've already heard some like good buzz from a festival, I'm very much already sold and now just would like to watch the film. Thank you. Something about getting Mike Flanagan, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Tom Hiddleston, privilege though it is to hear from them, sit down and talk for like maybe 10 minutes about how much they loved the film is almost a little bit, it's like kind of watching the trailer before the film starts. I'm already here. I'm already sold. I'm so glad you're so effusively happy with all the work you've done on this and you're clearly really proud of it. I would quite like to just watch it instead of hearing about it. And then afterwards we'll do a Q&A. And they did do a Q&A again. So at that logic, I was like, why not just go let them have a drink at the bar and then bring them for when it's done. And then also we got this like prelude from the people running the festival who are obviously lovely, but they also like praised it by saying, guys, we went through thousands of films for you guys to think of what we would show to close the South by Southwest Film Festival. And Life of Chuck was the only film that we could possibly have chosen to do it. So I'm like, okay, all right, everyone's really happy with this film. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, it'd been massively pre-hyped for me at that point, which maybe frames my review of it, but you know, that remains to be seen. So The Life of Chuck, adapted from a novella by Stephen King, by Mike Flanagan, who's adapted other Stephen King things before. He did Doctor Sleep, which was the sequel to The Shining. And
am I getting confused? Did Mike Flanagan do like The Haunting of Hill House and stuff like that? I think he's done like horror stuff, hasn't he? Whereas this is not a horror film.
So he's done The Fall of the House of Usher, Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, Doctor Sleep,
so horror
Haunting of Hill House. Yes. So horror. And within that, obviously, it is a Stephen King project. Horror, there are there's like a couple of horror scenes, and there is like an element of Stephen King style of horror certainly within it. I wouldn't class it as a horror film if you were going to go and see it.
Is it more adjacent to like the kind of Stand By Me, Shawshank, Stephen King?
Yes, very much more.
That branch of his
very
stuff.
much closely aligned to that. So this film is a non-chronological look at the life of an accountant named Chuck Krantz, who is played as an adult by Tom Hiddleston, and also in other carnations from other performers as a child and as a teenager. And we are told this film takes place in 3 acts, and the film starts with Act 3.
Right.
So it's sort of non-linear.
Okay.
You find out, you basically know nothing in the beginning, and it's only really towards the end you start to understand what the film is trying to do. And in our first act, in Act 3, it is set in a future where civilization as we know it is collapsing. The internet is failing. The stock market is crashing. California is broken off of America and is floating off into the ocean. Electricity.
That's not
even
how that works, is it?
No, I mean like it's just
Sure.
yeah,
Just
it's
like
very sort of.
I believe you, but just tectonic plates.
Like the
It's
fault,
not-
yeah, just broken. Don't overthink it.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank
yeah.
you.
It's like
Sometimes I need someone to tell me that.
it's the end of the world, and it's technically super apocalyptic, but the tone is quite calm and curious. There's not a frenzy. There are images of businessmen dropping their briefcases and just continuing to walk. There are women who are just like realizing their phone has become bricked and just throwing it away. There's a weird sense of like, you know, that feeling people describe when the plane is going down, they think they're going to die, and it's like this sense of calm. Actually, there's not much to observe about the end of the universe, and we're experiencing this through a character who's a teacher played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, observing what's happening to the world, and Karen Gillan, who plays a nurse at a hospital or doctor at a hospital, and both of them kind of know each other, and you're just seeing them interact with this world. And every time Chiwetel Ejiofor leaves his house, goes to the high street, he sees the same sign, and it's a picture of Chuck Krantz, and it just says this: "It's been a great 39 years, thanks Chuck." And he keeps seeing this thing everywhere, and all of a sudden all the windows are lit up with it, and everything is just like, but we don't know who Chuck Krantz is, and it's a curiosity to Chiwetel Ejiofor as well. What is this branding that's been attributed to everywhere? And so the film often straddles this line of very terrifying ideas and images, i.e. the end of the world. And in some instances, there's a shot where Karen Gillan and Chiwetel Ejiofor watch the very stars of the galaxy disappear and burn out towards them, like a darkness comes towards them. And it's a mix of both very terrifying but astoundingly beautiful. And it sort of calms what would be something very terrifying with something very peaceful and serene. And that's kind of what the film is trying to evoke. Talking about something very dark whilst also giving you an idea that's quite comforting. We then move into a second act where we see Tom Hiddleston engaging in this spectacular dance sequence after walking past a busker on the street, which is also confusing to us. And he's got this incredible vernacular for dancing, which, as we learn throughout the film, becomes explained as to why that whole scene happened. You've also got Jacob Tremblay, Mark Hamill in this, who, by the way, is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
He has loads of great scenes. He has a monologue in particular, which was just chef's kiss. And I know and love Mark Hamill, but I love to be reminded of how great an actor he is outside of just thinking of him as Luke Skywalker. He really is brilliant.
Just to eyeball this from an outside view, do you think it's the kind of thing we picked up, people go, hey, best supporting actor, Mark Hamill, maybe get festival circuit, might pick it up, awards chatter?
I don't know if this is going to get him a best supporting gong, but like I think he could. People might see this and be like his next film.
This might take his career in a new direction.
He's really, really good. You know, Mark Hamill, he talks right at you. And he's got that sense of wonder and imagination, and he cooks in this. You've got Matthew Lillard in a great scene. You've got narration by Nick Offerman. And this whole film is basically about this idea of making every moment count, being very present in everything you do. It's very warm. It's very embracing. It's definitely a festival movie. The film poses a lot of questions, and instead of actually giving you a direct answer and a solid idea, it leaves you with a lot of questions, and I think quite nicely you can pick it apart on your way home from the cinema and go, oh yes, well that I think was there to represent there, and how did you interpret that? And I think it leaves it nicely open for interpretation. I really liked the beginning of this film, which was technically the end, right? And I think that part of the film about trying to rationalize what it means if you're in a world that is ending, I liked that more than what the film eventually became, which took me by surprise. And the second half is a whole coming-of-age story for who Chuck Krantz is. I feel like some of the stuff towards the end got a bit bogged down with the coming of age story, which felt a little bit tired for me. So I left it feeling this is a little bit schmaltzy, a little bit festivally, but nonetheless incredibly heartwarming. It's like a warm hug for anyone who is trying to understand life, the idea of the identity, everyone being their own individual story, and this whole thing taking part in my universe and you have your own. Lots of big ideas. I liked it, but I'm not gaga over it. Like, I think some people might watch this and I think the ideas could really sweep them up. I actually would like to rewatch it, I think, when it comes out, because knowing what I think I know at the end, I reckon there are some things I missed in the beginning. But for anyone who is into this type of thing, I think there's a lot to really enjoy. I think performances across the board are really great. There's this wonderful scene when a character breaks down the scale of the cosmic scale of our time. And they talked about how if you were to break down the entire scale of the universe into a calendar year, you would have the birth of the universe on January 1st. And all the way through, you would have the formation of our galaxy in March and the formation of Earth in September. But human beings have only existed at 40 seconds to midnight. And then if you cut that through, like the way in which like we've experienced humanity has only existed in the last like 5 seconds of the cosmic scale. And actually we consider ourselves to be part of this larger thing, but really we are but a tiny fragment in this world. So I'm actually really interested to see how other people get on with it. It doesn't quite land for me as this triumphant success. It feels like a very successful novella more than like an accomplished big ideas film.
Sure.
There's a lot to enjoy. I'm not gaga over it.
Okay. Well, that was The Life of Chuck. That is coming out in August in the UK. We look forward. I'm very much intrigued to see it. I kind of feel your take on the film is a bit how I feel going into it, which is like I doubt films like I always suspicious that films like this, when they try to be so big and grand and sweeping and lovely and warm and kind of Zemeckis-like, it rarely end up being a sweeping success. But there might be some interesting stuff in it.
And then also like the preamble I got, I almost think was
unhelpful.
Really like a conspiratorial note. It's almost like they're trying to prime the audience to open your eyes and your heart to something very deep and something very profound. And like Tom Hiddleston was there and his parents were sitting right behind me. So he was showing off the film to his family. And it's like a family, it's a film about like families and parents and all of that. So I think that's all really nice. And Mike Flanagan just talked again, like so effusively about like how it was like the greatest greatest book he'd ever written, and he was desperate to adapt it. And you can see the love from those who've created it. And I think it's actually really nice to see people really proud of their work. I think the preamble slightly creamed me slightly. I'd been biscuit dunked in the tea too many times.
Okay, well, we will review Life of Chuck when it comes out in August, and we will release our release your interview with Chiwetel Ejiofor then. Excuse me. Just getting so choked up about Chuck.